Welcome back to Timeless Mindset. In this episode, we are joined by Ronan Fitzgerald and Jack McIntosh. Ronan is host of the Sunday Debrief podcast, and Jack is a social media authenticity master, sharing his dancing and ideas in an effort to inspire others. Putting yourself out there can be scary. Receiving hate, feeling like an outcast, feeling like your dreams are so far away and the rewards at times so little. So why do it? In short, changing your life and having a positive impact on others. Everyone wants the view, but not the climb. We talk about the journey of the climb. Irrespective of how far you've come, the rise up the mountain is full of challenges. Expect to learn about why it's dangerous to extract self-worth from the things society puts on a pedestal, why you can confuse what you do with who you are, the best questions to ask a stranger, why Harry Garside is the best role model for young men, and how to let go of people's opinions. There is so much more to this conversation, and I really loved it. It was three young men putting their content on social media and having a conversation about all the challenges that come with it. Always feel inspired by these boys, and the conversation hopefully provides some value to someone doing the same out there. Before we begin, are you in Perth and love looking after your physical and mental health? We all deserve to give our body the love it needs. Look no further than Perth's newest and best recovery centre, Rec Lab. It's located in Wembley and has everything you need. 2 huge ice bath plunge pools, a 39-degree magnesium hot pool, a steam room, traditional sauna and hyperbaric chamber. And more importantly, the owner, Pete, is an amazing individual, and the people who go there are incredible. It's a great community, an incredible facility, and it's just such a great space to give your body the love it needs. The link to his website and Instagram is located in the show notes below. Make sure to mention myself, Egan, when you visit, and I'll make sure he looks after you. Let's get into it.
Everyone is going through something.
I think that you can actually do anything you set your mind to.
If someone were to ask you who you are and what you stand for, you should be able to answer that question.
You got to be grateful for where you're at.
I don't really want to have all these cuddles. This is your role. Step up.
Boys,
Egan.
Jack,
Yo.
Ronan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here. First time.
Yeah. So what do we normally do? We talk about what we've been up to. So what's been happening in the last couple of weeks?
Footy's done and dusted. That's a big one. That's a big life change. Bit of heartbreak on your end.
Yeah, we lost by 1 point in a prelim, unfortunately. Bad way to go out, but I think we did well to get where we got. So still a good, fun season. How did you guys go?
Yeah, reached an elimination and then went out on a very wet day in Kingsley, unfortunately. But our Colts boys got up, so I was happy for them.
I feel like footy is 10 months of the year.
Yep.
It's actually non-stop. I feel like especially when I started Waffle that pre-season, it was November and it's you have 6 weeks off. It's pretty fucked.
Very full on, isn't it?
As disappointing as it is to go out, do you almost feel a sense of it's a big weight off the shoulders when you're not got footy to worry about? I reckon the last month or so I felt so much freer.
Eggs and I talk about this quite often. 100%. Just the time as well. Obviously we're all in the social media sort of space, and it takes, well, for me at least, it feels like it takes a lot of time out of something else I could be doing. Not that I don't enjoy footy, but when you play for so long, you like a break.
I think it epitomizes that quote, you can have anything, but you can't have everything. And I want to do a lot of things with my time, but I can't commit to football, full-time work, podcasting. It's I can't put my hands in all these pies because we have limited time. So football is a big commitment. And I think when I get back from Europe, I definitely want to think about how I want to spend my time, because when we're young, it's I've been playing footy for so long. It's where else do I want to, take a risk, and what could that look like? But then again, I love football. So it's one of those things where you can't have everything.
It's a tricky one because you want to maximise every day, especially when you're young. You want to be able to do as much as you can. I definitely feel as if I feel very cluttered though. Do you guys have any kind of methods where you kind of try and structure your life so you can get the best out of everything you want to do?
Yeah, to me, it's time management, right? And also figuring out what brings you that fulfillment. And I know for me, like, I get so much from like podcasting and the direction I'm going in with this stuff. So I feel like if I don't put time into it during a week, I actually feel like I'm stuck. Whereas in football, like, I've had time off football now for a month and I haven't had feelings of being stuck. But I do miss like playing a game of football. But for me, I find it hard to enjoy football unless I'm fully committed. But that's because I've spent the last 15 years trying to become the best version of myself. And I need to sort of maybe repair that relationship where I don't have to be 1,000% committed. But I don't know. It's not really me. I don't want to half-ass something. So I sort of want to potentially have a year to experiment with just doing this stuff and seeing where it takes me.
Yeah. I don't know. For footy, I came to this realization, and I don't know why it took me so long, being a deep thinker, but like footy, especially ammos, the 3 hours, let's say, that you're out at training, it genuinely is like you're not thinking about anything but just being with your mates, kicking a footy around and just enjoying it. So as much as I say like it takes time off me doing other things, like it is really good for your mental health, I feel. And then playing the games, you know, it can, like the stress, pressure, whatever, it's still fun. Like you still enjoy it. So it's yeah. Have you had thoughts of not playing?
No, never with football. Never had thoughts of not playing football. I gave up cricket. That takes up too much time.
Yeah, that's sport is fucked, mate. I don't know how people do it.
No, especially in summer. I mean, when it's obviously there's always good parts, and you know you love the blokes that you play with. But when it's 4 o'clock on a Saturday and your mates are having beers up at the pub and you're standing in a field in 40 degrees, not touching the ball, it's not ideal. Not the best way to spend your summer. So I gave that one up. But no, I've never considered missing football. Kind of happy just playing amateurs for sure. It's a bit of fun. Your journey is like a bit different with football, kind of getting back into that elite environment. Have you found that different then? Did football feel different this year?
Definitely. It's a lot easier to lose the love for the game when it becomes more professional. And because there's such an emphasis on the team side of things, which you happily buy into to win, but then when you're losing heaps and you're trying your best and you just feel like it's not as fun because of that, and there's such a big time commitment, your mind starts to drift. What else could I be doing? But the thing I find very interesting about football, and I don't reflect on it enough, is how much would I enjoy football if everyone didn't like it as much as they did? How much of my enjoyment is derived from the fact that the whole of Australia puts football on this pedestal, and almost like there's sort of this self-worth that I've sort of extracted from being good at football or trying to be good at football. Whereas what if it was a really niche sport like badminton? Would I still love it the same?
Fuck, that's a really good question. Oh, that's because the pedestal thing. Like, if you are, good at football, it's definitely it can contribute to your self-worth.
So, do you think if you spoke to someone's journey, an AFL footballer compared to a Olympic, what's a niche sport in the Olympic, an Olympic breakdancer, like do you think those journeys and how they've loved the sport and the pressures involved would be different in a less concentrated environment, I suppose? Not as many eyes.
100%. When there's a lot of people that love a game like football, you can actually confuse your love for the game for the love of the attention that it brings.
Validation, man.
And even at a really local level, going from Perth Football League to even playing waffle reserves, I can feel internally the sort of ego side of that. I'm training waffle or doing this. It's like, and that's at such a micro scale. Transfer that to the AFL. I can easily understand how it gets to people.
You can sort of see it, and I've got mates that play waffle. like as bad as it sounds, like you can see and they don't even mean it. I don't know how to fucking word this without it saying bad, but like they do, you know, they stand a bit taller because they're playing in the waffle. You know, they feel a bit better about themselves when they go out on nights out because they've got that, you know, validation that they're pretty good at footy.
It definitely falls into like what people, what blokes in Perth and what blokes in Australia prioritise. We were just talking about it before. So, what people what blokes will post on social media is going to be, drinking with your mates and the beach and the gym and football, posting photos of football because it's a valuable part of who we probably see ourselves as a person. We play football and how good are we at it? And obviously the better you're at it, then the bigger pedestal you're on.
I think that's why a lot of men especially are so confused with who they are because they're caught up trying to win the game that they don't even know they're playing. Like, that's why, like, I'm big on trying to just figure out who I am. Not for other people, but for myself. Because I've played that game where you try and be cool in the eyes of other people, but it's such a short-lived feeling versus...
But it's forever as well. In the sense that you'll be doing it for the rest of your life if you continue down that path. You'll be always trying to look cool for that little short feeling. Feeling you get.
It's a hard cycle to break. It doesn't need to be black or white. Like, it's not just like you wake up and suddenly don't care what people think. Like, I still fall into those traps, but I think it's just that self-awareness that, like, why do I care so much about what people think? Like, I don't think we actually break that down philosophically, like, but I think it's also easier. It's a lot easier to believe that the crowd is right and not trust your own feeling. I think a lot of people nowadays don't trust themselves and don't follow their own pursuits, passions, hobbies, because it is a lot easier to conform. This is a timeless issue. This happens tens of thousands of years ago. The blokes who had different ideas. But what makes a great man, isn't it like the strong conviction in who they are and what they want? I don't really, in my opinion, I don't put anyone on sort of any pedestal or aspire to be like someone who just follows the crowd and does what other people think. I think there's so much power in someone who's so authentic, regardless of like what that actually looks like. It could be the most niche thing, but someone who is true to themselves. It's just this like power in it.
That would then be interesting again to see, someone who is elite at a sport, but a very niche sport. For them to start that journey, they obviously didn't follow the crowd. The person who's playing, I don't know, curling, is that when you like scrub the ice and shit? Like,
curling. Great sport.
No one in Perth is following the crowd and comes across ice curling. So like,
you don't watch it?
Oh, not for a while, man.
Not going tomorrow.
Saturday Arvo is usually my time spot where I watch
fair enough, yeah. Sometimes chuck the highlights on a Tuesday morning. But that'd be interesting. And an elite sports person, but elite at a sport that's very niche, because then they've had to deviate away from a stereotypical pathway just to be there. So.
We've spoken about this before. It's with actors, how they get like this like reverse thing where they have to go fully against the crowd, be the weirdo, be the gay guy, all these names thrown at them, and then hopefully they make it, and then now they are just put on this massive pedestal.
I mean, who's throwing slurs at Hugh Jackman?
But I can almost guarantee it. Back in the day, he would have copped it. I can almost guarantee it. I have no idea, but I can almost guarantee it. Because my mate, who's an actor, we gave him shit because he quit footy, and we're like calling him all these names, and we were his mates, calling all these names, and then he's not fucking Hugh Jackman, but he fucking has made a good thing out of what he's doing.
It goes for probably goes for especially in the social media space. everyone's looking down on people who are trying until they've made it, and suddenly it's like, oh, well, good on you for taking that risk, and look what you're doing.
Followers, only 1,000 followers. What's this guy doing? Like fucking cringe. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Until now they've got 100K. Oh, good on you. Been with you all the way.
Now this is their job. Now they're at the beach at 11 a.m. cruising.
Everyone wants the view, but not the climb.
Alex Hormozy.
Wow.
But there's so much power, because I truly believe I'm in the midst of that. Like, to be fair, there is no destination, and a lot of people that I speak to who have quote unquote made it, there's this feeling like they've never arrived. Like the future that they were hoping for hasn't come yet, because they're in this constant cycle of never believing that they have enough. But I still believe, from what I set out to go, my goals that I've set out, like I'm nowhere near them.
Do you want to be right now? You're 23.
You don't want to, but can you? Because I spoke to Pete the other day, and he told me he set all these goals for the recovery center, and he said he's hit them already.
Oh, really?
And then he's having this sort of like, not existential crisis, but he's sort of at a crossroads now. It's like he's achieved everything he set out to do. What's next? I believe, at least for me, like, fuck, there's so much power in the pursuit of something greater than what you think you have to do.
The climb.
Well, that's exciting. That's what gets you up in the morning, isn't it?
But
it's knowing that you're working towards something. So do you ever get to a point where you've worked towards it and you've reached it? Is that a good position to be in, or is that?
It's that new mountain. Like, there's always going to be a bigger mountain to climb. There will always be a new, like, even the top dogs, they're not going to think like, oh yeah, I can just chill out. Like,
do you hear Nat Fife on Dylan Friends?
Yeah.
So on that, like, obviously elite footballer, on that climb, wants to win a Brownlow medal, wins it. Unbelievable feeling.
For how long?
Wins it again, did not feel the same feeling. He's like, what's the next stage? Has to be a premiership. I know all too well that it's not happened. Probably won't.
Probably not for him.
Yeah, and that reality is probably dawning on him. But then so what? Nat Five is 33, 34 this year. If he plays on next year, Fremantle win a flag, he wins a premiership medal and retires on that, is he complete? Because in a football career, there is an ending.
Football career, people would be like, yeah, he's done it all.
2 Brownlows.
But like, how much? Yeah, I don't know. How much? I think you'd get a lot of, good feelings out of winning a flag. But I think he's at the age now where he has a lot of perspective. And he even said this when he went to that trip to India. Was it India?
Yeah, Sri
Lanka. He said he's gained so much perspective on life. And I just think, although the flag would be so enjoyable and he would feel like he can retire and know that he's gave everything, and whether he wins a flag or not, he's going to think that. But just thinking he's done it all, I don't know if it will matter that much to him now, because he's maybe when he was younger, thinking back on what career do I want to have, but now that he's at the, at the end.
The question becomes then, is it truly an authentic pursuit, or how much does that mean to him simply because everyone else believes it's valuable?
Correct.
Like, everyone in Australia is like, winning a premiership, being AFL superstar. That's you've done it. You've conquered life. But he's now, when you achieve sort of all those goals, then you sort of have to start looking deeper, because you realise there is much more to it.
Here's a good one. Nick Dacos wins a Brownlow this year. What happens?
Yeah, the bloke's 20 years old.
He's literally he's younger than all of us, or I don't know.
But what's his purpose?
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, he's literally done it all in everyone's eyes if he wins the Brownlow this year, and it's his first 3 seasons or whatever.
So this is a slight deviation. I reckon we've talked about this before, but people will put their whole value on what their job is or what they do. So a footballer may well think their whole value as a person is how good they are at football. So, yeah, an AFL player comes off the ground after a shit game, he's had 5 touches, and he goes, I'm a shit bloke because I had a bad game today. So, yeah, the whole value is in that thing. Whereas, yeah, you have to start looking deeper and no, I'm more than just that. So even if I have a bad game or even if I don't win a Brownlow or I don't win a premiership, I'm still just as fulfilled as a human because I, as Nat Fyfe, am a deep spiritual bloke and I do this and I've got a beautiful partner. I don't know if he does, but yeah, he probably could if he wants to. But yeah, that whole value is placed on
The labels. It's
I struggle with that at a local level, like hinging your happiness on a performance. There's emergence between what you do and how you feel about yourself. There's a real fusion between what you do in life, your behaviors, and who you are. And to some extent, I actually believe it does, because what you do is a reflection of who you are. But at the same time, does that make a guy who collects garbage a bad human being because it is not a socially deemed like valuable job? Or like,
and this goes back to that. This is a while ago actually when we had that clip where I said I hate when we in the first 3 questions it's like, what's your name, how old are you, or what school do you go to, and then it's like, what do you do, what's your job? And I just don't think it gets you far. Obviously, if you have a very interesting job, I think that can be cool because it's something cool to talk about. But like, I don't know if I like it just because.
What's better? What would be 3 questions you would ask to someone?
Oh man, I've got a saved video of this. What does he say?
I've got 2 that come straight to mind.
Yep.
One would be, who are you trying to become? What scares you the most?
That's a good one. What scares you
And
the
what
most?
have you learnt the most in life so far? If you had an actual conversation about those 3 things, you would know who they are way more than just what job they do, how old they are, who their friends are.
Unless, like, I feel like that creates a better space for an open mind. As soon as you start throwing like what job you are, like instant judgment comes over, like, and you form this opinion of who they are, which just I doubt would be right.
Question I love asking, it could be a stranger, or it could be an acquaintance, could be a friend, is just what does your past week look like? What have you done this week, or what does your week look like? And then because I mean, what people do on a day-to-day life basis tells you a lot about who they are as a person. If someone says, correct. I mean, yeah, someone could say, oh, on Tuesday I watched Netflix, went to work for a bit, came home, had dinner, went to sleep, and then the next day, blah, blah. Or someone might say, I flew out to, I drove down to Margaret River, and then on the Wednesday I came, and then I went to the beach, and then I went to the gym, and like, there'd be so many different weekly structures that you hear, and each of them will give you a little bit of an indication of what they value, what they want to do, what they want to be.
And that gives you an idea whether you connect with those people, because it's like, do they value health and fitness or growth, or do they value enjoyment, or just, I don't know, like how we connect to people properly, like those deeper connections, is actually by understanding who people are. And probably the best way to uncover that is like what they do.
It's a good conversation starter. If someone gives you a list of what they've done on a day-to-day basis, you've got that many like little inlets to ask, to pose questions about. So, I mean, and work probably does end up becoming a part of that.
Yeah.
It's a big part of people's lives. But
yeah, like obviously it's going to come up in conversation. I just don't think it should be one of the first things.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it forms a very good opinion.
How about where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'm on the edge with that. Like, I like it because it's like, how much are they thinking about their future? Like, do they have an idea of who they want to become or where they want to go? But then I know a lot of people who also have an obsession with the future because this was me actually, because you don't like where you are, because you're so far short of your goals, you sort of become obsessed with, it's all going to pay off when I achieve this, and it's delayed happiness syndrome, and you just get caught up in this cycle. So I think there's that fine balance of like, I know where I want to go, I know who I am, and I'm enjoying this roller coaster of a journey. That to me is the big three that I'm trying to hit.
That's true. Things change so quickly. I even think that to say where do you want to see yourself in 6 months or a year is even pretty long time in advance. Things are changing so quickly. It's almost on a weekly or a monthly basis to be like, what do you? Because that's something that's a bit more measurable and a bit more achievable.
I also think though, if you don't set goals like I want to do this, you just get stuck in the cycle of doing the same shit, and you never actually start going out of your comfort zone and chasing your dreams, because it's just like tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
But tomorrow never comes.
But that's why I like the short-term ones, because if you do go, this is where I see myself in 3 years or 5 years, then you go, oh, it's so far away. If you go, this is what I want to have done, this is where I want to be in a month, I'm taking action now.
The chances also are, like, the 3 to 5 year goals, like, the chances of you being the same person and wanting that same goal is very, very slim.
Well, I mean, backtrack. Where were you guys 3 years ago? And is it even relevant to who you are right now?
No. No, not at all.
And if 3 years ago and you got asked, where do you see yourself in 3 years, would it be sitting here?
No, fuck. Not a chance.
You grow so much on the climb, but that's like, I think sometimes we're scared to retreat or pivot. It's like, I set out to go after this mountain, you feel almost pressured to finish it. But then there's the power in sticking to your word, but your values, I think a lot, especially when you chase very external goals, like you do things that other people expect you to do. After a certain amount of the journey, you realize it doesn't actually give you that much. And that's when I think it's important to pivot.
I think that's why having the goal is good and working towards the goal. But getting to the actual goal isn't that important, because it's who you've become on the way to that goal that is so important, and so easy to do, so easy to say, probably not as easy to do in terms of, like, you'd probably be shattered if you didn't get to that goal. But, like, you got to look. Great example. This is just Harry Garside. Wanted to win a gold medal, and I fucking love Harry. And he didn't win the goal. He didn't get the gold medal. But who he has become in this 8 to 12 year journey or life journey, he's one of the best role models for young men. Like, honestly, such a good role model. And it's not until you reflect on that disappointing result that you go, fuck, I'm actually an amazing human being. Like, that is more than a gold medal is worth.
Then, how do you think, if you've set a goal, how do you think your success in that should be measured then? Is it, that's very broad, because goals can be, there's such a wide variety of what it could be. It could be a numerical kind of objective, or it could be a kind of something that's, not measurable, something like a feeling. But how should that measure of success be evaluated?
I think you can just be proud of even having a go at the goal, like having a shot at it.
Well, how many people have goals, Jack? How many people have written goals? Tell me, what percentage?
Well, I know that 80% of people don't do it, so I'm guessing 20%.
Only 4% of people have written goals.
Written goals, yeah.
And it's like 84% don't have goals.
Yeah. It's or dreams. Like,
I think also when you write it down, it's like, fuck, now I have to do it.
I think if telling someone as well.
I was going to say
telling
that,
someone is more important for me, I feel.
Keeps you accountable.
Because then guess what? That person can ask me 3 weeks' time, like 4 weeks' time. It was exactly like our push-ups. Like, that failed. We failed.
Yeah.
But if we didn't put it on social media, it would have been a whole lot easier to fail.
Yeah.
Like, we could have stopped in the first fucking 2 weeks.
I was close. Like, I did end up doing 10,000, but I was close to stopping a lot earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so many moments where I was like, we have to stick to our word.
Yeah.
And then,
in the end.
Well, because I think the thing is, I learned a lesson in that. I was like, why am I actually doing it? Like, I don't really care. It's not really doing anything. It's not really raising any money or awareness. It's just sort of
And you're already gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that with your ocean jumps every day? Now that, like, it's kind of, you've put
do I feel what? Sorry.
like accountable to the public, because people kind of know that you've
Nah,
got,
not
you've
at
got a
all.
long-term streak of every day I jump in the water.
Yeah, I actually don't for some reason.
Or is it fully internal?
And I think it's because it's genuinely so habitual. Like, I can't remember the day that I didn't go to the beach, because now it's just something I love, and I love it even when it's hard and shit. Like when it's pissing down and just windy and I don't want to do it. Like, I know that after I do it, I'm going to feel unbelievable. And I could easily do this without... I did it for so long without social media knowing. Like, I did it for 6 or 7 months without social media knowing, until I went into the podcast, I think. But, like, I don't know. I think I've inspired a few people to start something like that. It doesn't have to be swimming at the beach. It can be your version. But, yeah. Now it's just enjoyable. It's not really... I don't think it requires much discipline.
We'll talk about success, and how you measure it. It's important, because I think that determines how you feel about it. It's like, I think a lot of people, especially athletes, they set out to become a professional athlete. They fall short. They weren't good enough. They deem themselves a failure. They take on that burden of the failed athlete to the failed human, and then they struggle a lot with their mental health, because they merge their athlete with the human side. But there's so much more. Like, that's where Harry Garside, for example, honestly, if I'm honest, I don't really care too much about like the boxing side, because I don't even follow boxing at all. But he's so inspiring to me because of what he represents as a human being. I think people don't actually give a fuck what you do. It's how you are and who you are in the process.
I could not give a fuck that he's a boxer.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I couldn't. But, yeah, exactly what you're saying. It's
because we get so caught up in what we're doing. Like a podcast, a lot of the people don't like me or what I'm doing just because I'm podcasting. It's because I'm putting myself out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people don't even listen, yet they say, I love what you're doing. But it's just because they like the idea, what I represent.
Yes.
That's something big we always talk about, just in general, isn't it? That it is, as soon as you put yourself out there, regardless of what it is, you leave yourself out. You leave yourself vulnerable to scrutiny and criticism. And, well, yeah, we were just walking along the coast then. And Jack, you said, how could anyone possibly hate what Egan is doing?
Yep.
There's no one who can be harmed by it. But but then, yeah, you said, well, if what was it? If no one dislikes you, you're not doing it right.
You're not doing, yeah.
If no one dislikes you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. But honestly, like, it's still, as long as I do agree with that, but it actually baffles me that someone could dislike what you're doing. You're literally trying to improve this world. You're trying to improve people's mental health. You're trying to make this place better. How the fuck can you hate that?
But
it's not that they hate it. It's they hate that you're doing something with your life and they're not doing something with theirs.
And I spoke about this in a solo episode. Like, no matter how incredible you do, anyone, whatever success you achieve, if someone wants to bring you down, they will fucking find anything to bring you down.
Yeah.
The tiniest thing, they'll twist that story, they'll talk shit behind your back, they'll do anything. Let them.
Bang. Hey.
Because it's generally a reflection on someone else, isn't it? I mean, just think of it in a day-to-day context. If you're having a bad day and something bad's happening, you're in a shit mood, you're more likely to see negatives in other things and almost try and be like, well, I feel shit, so that's not fair. Everyone else should as well. If you're having an awesome day, how much more likely are you to be walking along that coast path and just say hello, compliment someone?
Well, most things in life, let me reframe, nothing in life means anything except for the meanings we give them. But I think because a lot of people are so unhappy with themselves, and I was for a little bit, like, everything becomes negative in a way because that's the mental state you're in.
Yeah.
It's
the lens.
Yeah. It's like when you see the world through this filter and it's all these chemicals running in your brain, and we control a lot of the time what those chemicals are by what we put into our body, what we do with our time and our energy, how we exercise. And it's no surprise that a lot of the people in the world are negative because of the way they treat themselves.
Just going back to the like the let them theory sort of thing. Before I started to put myself out there, anything like that, I was like so scared of being judged, and I was like, I just don't want to be judged, and like I'll do anything just to look cool. And
But when I looked at you, I wouldn't think that, because Jack's very expressive and extroverted, whereas in social circles I'm a lot more introverted, and I see Jack putting himself out there, and my interpretation was like Jack's so courageous to be like not give a fuck and be himself. That was, I thought, like, you're being yourself, but it's interesting.
yeah, and I always wanted to try and make people laugh. I think that was a massive thing, and I just wanted to be liked and all that sort of stuff. And now that I remember watching a video with you, Eggs, and this guy was saying like, no, fuck that. People are going to judge you. You have to accept that and just let them judge you, because you can't let that stop you. Like, at the end of the day, people will judge you for anything you do, anything, which is just crazy, but it's just a fact. Let them have that opinion, let them judge you, and just do it anyways. That is the most important lesson I've learned from putting myself out there, and that mindset flip of being scared that people might judge me to knowing that people are going to judge me. Like, you got to know that it's going to happen.
And then inevitably you attract the people who you're going to click with.
Mate, fuck, the amount of connections we've made from just putting yourself out there. Like, it's great. We would have never spoken to each other. Like, this podcast would never have happened if we all didn't decide to put ourselves out there.
I think because we want to avoid the pain of having to go through. So, like, accepting that and being like, fuck, I want to have a podcast. I have this vision of who I want to become. And in the process, the price I have to pay is the pain of, judgment, hate, people's negativity. But I actually truly believe you need to actually callous yourself to that. And the only way is to actually receive hate.
Yeah.
Nothing will prepare you for receiving hate until receiving hate. Like, you can't mentally, you can condition yourself to it. You can say, I'm worthy, I'm great. But I think it's just the repetitions of receiving a hate comment and that self-talk of, I'm doing the right thing, I know who I am, I know my values, I'm trying to have an impact. That has played out a lot of times. I haven't received tens and thousands of hate comments, but there's quite a few. And it's just slowly over time, you become more assured of yourself. And honestly, I receive negative comments. It hardly affects how it makes me feel. Earlier on, fucking oath, it rocks you. But there's only one way through, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. I genuinely laugh at hate comments now, because I just find them funny. Like, it's just some complete stranger, or maybe not a stranger, and they're taking time out of the day to watch your video that you made and comment on it. Hate or positive, it doesn't really matter. They're still commenting on it, which they don't realise is actually beneficial to the algorithm. Cheers, haters.
Well, it comes back to that risk reward thing, right? So, I mean, to put yourself out there, the risk is is negative comments. If that's outweighed by the reward, knowing that, what about the people I'm benefiting? A lot of people love this, and people will comment that they love it. They'll message me that they love it. They'll come up to me in public and say, oh, I really love what you're doing. That reward has to completely outweigh the risk of being put down by people that you don't know.
But I also believe I'm massive on the impact you can have on other people. But if I'm really, really honest, you got to do it for you. And that is not in service of other people. That is such a bonus to have a positive impact. Honestly, that's a lot of the reason I do it. But I don't think it's enough. For me, it's not enough. I have to do it because I'm so passionate about becoming the best version of myself. I want to reach my potential. I want to have to go through the discomfort. I don't think, to me, it's not enough just to inspire other people. I have to truly live and love what I'm doing, because it means so much to me to put myself out there.
I feel like, inspiring people is like little high fives along the way, would you say?
Yeah.
But the actual thing that puts the coal in the train, keeps the train running, is your passion for what you are doing. So if you're not passionate, you're not going to keep doing it, for sure. But just what derives your passion, I guess.
You need a purpose for anything that you do, especially something like this. You need a purpose. You need to think, why am I why do I bother?
Why do anything?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you need a purpose to why am I getting up this morning? What am I achieving? And I mean, yeah, so you would say whenever you put something out there, whenever you release a podcast, put a clip out, while the purpose might be to inspire, would you say your main purpose is it's fulfilling you?
I would say, let's say I put out a new idea. There's so many layers to it. There's like, one, I could help change someone's life by helping them think about something differently. That makes me feel good because I know what it's like to feel the opposite of whatever I'm saying. Like, I know what it's like to overthink. So I'm trying to share my wisdom to help people feel more and stop running this hamster wheel in their mind. So I like talking a lot about the things that I've gone through because that's really what I can speak to. And I like getting guests on because then they can speak about a range of experiences because I've only had my limited number of experiences. Then I can learn from them and I can share it all. And it's such a positive feeling because it almost heals you in the same time. Because one, you know you're not alone. Because I know for a lot of it, I felt like I was the only one who went through this world feeling a certain way. So when you share it and people relate to it, it's like, fuck, I'm not alone. I'm just a monkey trying to figure out this life, this existence. And there's so much power in that, not being alone. You in some weird way, you are alone, but you're not. Like, you have to understand that you have the responsibility of yourself, but you can do it through the vehicle of this world and other people. And that's why I love doing it. I can't be fucked doing it alone. I love helping people and I like helping myself along the way.
Yeah, they need both. You need both, don't you?
I think so, for me at least. I can't speak for anyone else, but I couldn't just do it for other people.
Why do you do what you do?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good one to think about. Like, what is the purpose behind anything that you put out? And yeah, I'm by no means even close to being prominent in a social media space, but I think you're always conscious that any one video could hit a few people. So you're always conscious of what's your impact on other people.
One video can change your life.
Yeah, 100%. So you're always thinking like, oh, how will this change someone's 5 seconds? Especially in an over-concentrated world, realistically, you're making an impression on someone for 20 seconds. And whether that's, I don't know, a drunk public interview or a podcast clip or yapping something a little bit deeper to the camera, I think in that, real over-concentrated social media environment, it kind of comes back to that saying we've said before. People won't necessarily remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. So in that 10 seconds that they see your face or hear something you said or kind of like sense your personality, by the end of the day, they probably won't remember exactly what you said. But I think in anything that I put out, I'm just hoping that it made them feel better than they did before they saw the video. Whether that's through having a laugh at a couple drunk blokes shouting in a club, or a little podcast clip about someone's story, or a little.
Well, how did you make them feel? I think most of the people I follow on social media who I get inspired by, it makes me feel like I can do it. And it makes me feel like, because when I see people being themselves, no matter what it looks like, it's just so refreshing because it is a mirror. Like, it's like a big mirror. And I think a lot of people can't accept that so they bring people down. But if you can actually accept that, fuck, they're being themselves, like, I wonder what that's like to be so free of the burden to always have to pretend to be someone else.
It's just like another reminder every time you see someone like that they're human and they're doing it. So, like, why can't I?
Yeah.
Eventually, hopefully, it knocks down that door that they're putting up.
Yeah. And again, they probably won't remember specifically it was what you said, but they will remember that it reminded them, oh, I can do that. I can be myself. Or, yeah. As simple as having a laugh and brightening someone's day for 15 seconds.
I know how you're saying how, like, they won't remember what you said or whatever, but they make you how you feel. And I do agree with that. But I think you've had a real impact on someone when they remember what you said.
Oh, yeah.
That's when it's like, well, because I've had that once and I was like, holy fuck, I don't remember saying that, but that's amazing that you remember that. And that's when that's when it's like, wow.
Well, that's that reward that will outweigh any possible negative comment, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good purpose when you're just thinking, I'm just going to try and
But it
make
doesn't have
someone
to.
feel.
It doesn't have to be that. Your purpose can be just to entertain.
100%.
Jimmy Carr is, which I didn't realize. Like, obviously, he's a very funny bloke and he rides the line a lot, but he's actually such a deep human. Like, and he has a lot of good ideas about life. I don't know if you've listened to a podcast with Jimmy Carr.
I've seen him live actually, but it was purely just a comedy show. Yeah. I've not heard him talk deeply. No.
Okay, well, Egan will attest to this when he gets his. Yeah, Egan will definitely attest to this. Jimmy Carr is one of the best podcasts I've listened to.
It'd have to be in the top 3.
Yeah,
easy with like the Hormozy one.
It's genuinely.
Do you know why I loved it so much? I think when you believe someone is so far one way and then they're so much the other way, I think that's why Jack can have an effect on people who know him. It's because when you have such an expectation that someone is a certain way and then they deep down the realization that the other way, I think it just shows
that they can do that as well.
Yeah. So it's like that gap between who they thought they were and who they are so big. It's just, it gives them that hope that they could do that too. Which is,
I think that's probably why I loved it so much, to be honest.
And
I
the
think of it.
practicalities, like so many mental, and it's funny because like you say, what do you know? But I can't really consciously give you something in there. But the one I use all the time is you can't have you can have anything, you can't have everything. That's from him, and I was like, fuck.
And Jimmy Carr also said the one about. So this was about comparing people's lives. He's like, okay, when you compare someone's life, you have to have everything that they've got. So you want Ronaldo's life, you have to have everything that Ronaldo, and you don't know what Ronaldo, like I don't even know what Ronaldo's got, but you have to have his whole life.
His relationships with his family.
Correct.
Which is pretty hard.
Yeah. And dude, people might not think this is, I'm actually being legit. It's actually hard to be that famous. Like he can't walk anywhere really. He's the most famous bloke on the earth. He can't walk anywhere. Like, that's hard. But yeah, that was something that Jimmy Carr stuck out to me. And there's you need to go listen to that. That's a fucking good podcast.
Jimmy Carr was like, oh, we're talking about rich people problems, poor me. But
yeah.
I think I spoke about this with Jess on the podcast the other day. You've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Yeah.
I think so many people are fighting for like basic human needs, like shelter, food, having enough money to afford these things. But the rich and famous have all that. They have the money, the food, the safety, and then they realize it doesn't actually bring them that much because they're so not caught up in just trying to survive. They have more than enough to survive. It's like, fuck, what's more than that? The self-actualization, figuring out their purpose or some spiritual aspects, like what is this fucking existence? You actually start having that. That's why he's so switched on, because when you're that fucking rich and famous, you have to start thinking deeper, or else you probably lose yourself.
100%.
Because you like, how much further can you have made it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to start thinking about a bit of a deeper meaning, don't you?
And then people will probably go, well, I'd rather that than not eating tonight, which understandable, 100%.
It's a better
but all it is the fact that everyone has problems.
Yeah, and then I think we sort of lose sight of that. It's like, if I achieve this, then I'll be happy.
And I think you need problems as well. If you don't have a problem in your life, then what are you really doing?
Problems create growth. And we're all going to have problems no matter, like...
It doesn't matter who you are. You can have a problem.
I think I still fall in the trap of thinking some people don't have problems, though.
Yeah.
Like you see people's lives when they're traveling, doing all these things you want to do. I still think, I'm like, fuck yeah, that'd be sick. Because you don't see the price tag to that. You just see what it is, the travel. You don't see the price tag of what they had to sacrifice, what challenges they're currently going through. It's just...
Well, a video popped up recently of Sam Guggs. Yeah. And obviously, if you watch her TikTok and Instagram, like, you'd think she's got a pretty fucking good life, good friends, family, influencer. So she enjoys her work. But then she spoke about some woman commented pretty negative comment about how I think she was calling her out for like lying about her body because she would have an ideal body for a lot of people and people would look up to her. But Sam has gone through a lot of body
dysmorphia.
Dysmorphia. I think that's what she said. And where was I going with this? Oh, it's the fact that if you just looked at her, you'd be like, dude, there's no way she has problems. Like, look at her. And how many people would look up to her and be like, I want her life. Like, how beautiful is she? And yet she still struggles to see herself in that light. And she still has the problem that people would praise her for.
And when you have something to lose.
Yep. Correct. I've seen you've got these cards out.
Yeah,
I'm a bit interested by this.
Hit the cards.
Is this or?
No, it's not It's
Damn.
It's timeless mindset So pass these 3 to Jack. So everyone gets 3 cards. They're sort of prompts. And we pick one each.
This is the first time you've done this?
No. And then we have a conversation.
Wait, come on, mate. This ain't our first rodeo. In saying this, though, I've just had a little twist to this. What happens if we read, so everyone reads out their 3, and then the other 2 decide what one that person has to answer?
As long as you all agree to it, because it can be.
Yeah, I know.
It can be.
Well, we can pick, let's say if you literally cannot answer it, you can swap it from a pile. Okay. So at least there's 3 that you can answer from.
Okay. I'll say my 3. I'll never forget about the day, a time I felt rejected. I hope my kids never find out about the time I ...
That went over my head. So I was reading mine.
They were pretty...
Just same, sorry.
A time I felt rejected. I'll never forget about the day. I hope my kids never find out about the time I
like the middle one. I'll never forget the day.
Yeah. I can back that.
All right, you guys choose yours. I'll have to have a think. Say yours.
All right. I wish I would have spoken up when. I'm feeling proud of. The last time I pretended to be someone I wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to go with the first, but third one wins. Okay. Wow. Okay. Something I would like to change about the way I deal with conflict. The hardest lesson I've learnt about love. Something that was stolen from me.
I like the middle one.
It's about love. Yeah, I'll back that.
Okay.
That's a toughie.
No, I can answer it. It's going to be hard.
Okay.
Tears might come, actually. Fuck. Oh, shit.
Here for it.
Okay, I'll go. Mine's not as deep as usual. Nothing really came to mind that I haven't shared. I think I'll never forget about the day that I did my first podcast. It's going to be hard to remember like all of the little ones along the way, like the episodes, but I just have such clarity of mind around like that first one I did upstairs in my brother's room. Terrible mics, didn't film. I was editing on my computer after. It was the weird conversation. I think I'll never forget out the day because there's been so many micro evolutions along the way that it's slowly becoming this really incredible product that I'm proud of. And it's just going to be amazing. Right now it is good, but like it's just going to keep becoming this bigger comparison of how far I've come. And I'll never forget about that day because it felt like I was just about to start the climb. Like I was like, fuck, here we go. But I do remember being so committed. I was like, this is it. Like I'm becoming a podcaster. Like in my head, I was so convicted that like, I'm going to make this work eventually. And we're still fucking at the start of the climb probably, but I'm fucking...
If you never did day one, you'd never be here, so...
And when you think back to that day, is this where you envisaged you would be at this point?
Question. I think in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I think I knew to some capacity I was going to change, but you just never know. There's so much uncertainty into it. Like, you just don't know. You sort of try and predict how it's going to play out, but I would have never guessed some of the guests I had on, like huge guests, and like hearing their stories and how the impact it would have had on social media. Like, you just can never anticipate that. And it's like,
You literally can't. But that's the fun. Like, it's so
the possibilities are endless. And look, we're going to look back in 2 years, right? And there's going to be, like, I would have had trips to Gold Coast, Melbourne, done these huge episodes that are going to happen, and the growth is going to happen. And fuck, that's exciting. Like, it's not, is that a burden? Do I, like, there's a struggle, there's challenges, but fuck, what, like, when you can turn that doubt, anxiety, that challenge into fucking, this is like, we only have one life. I can't wait to make the most of it. That mental shift is so powerful. And I think sometimes you do have to get a little bit along that climb. I think the more you climb, for me at least, I'm feeling more confident in continuing to climb. I think when you start, there is a bit of like, oh, I can still walk back down now. I can stop. Like, you can retreat. But once you go in further enough, you're like, yeah, this is why I started.
Yeah, I like that. I wish I had something. I wish I could pull up a specific example of this, but it has got me. It's got me thinking hard, and it relates to a conversation we had over coffee this morning. So the last time I pretended to be someone I wasn't, I think it's something I've definitely gotten better at, and especially in the kind of public kind of space, if you're putting yourself out there, just not trying to impress anyone, or just this is who I am. I'm going to put it out there, and that relates to what we were saying this morning, and I said it on here just before, I think, as well, where we were saying you will attract the people who you want to attract if you're yourself. And we were talking about it was in a relationship sense, where a lot of relationships will fail because the people have tried to adapt themselves to match each other, or someone's trying to chase the other. So therefore we'll try and change themselves to impress them. And I think almost instinctively, I reckon I'm probably doing that on a daily basis, depending on who I'm coming across and how I think they want to see me, and try and change yourself to impress them and to match them, rather than being yourself. And then therefore not everyone's going to like you. We've talked about that, but the people you want to be liked by, and the people you like, will like you back if you're yourself.
Why do you feel like you need to sort of adapt your presentation or your expression to suit who you're with?
Because I think it's an instinct to want to be liked. So therefore, even if it's someone who you don't even think you don't naturally connect with, you go, I want them to like me.
Are you scared of not being liked?
100%.
Do you know why?
I think just I've never seen myself as someone who tries to do anything wrong by anyone. I'm kind of like quite a big people person, and want to see people happy and connecting. And I think I can't help but be disheartened by negative perceptions.
So you're scared of people interpreting you in the wrong way. So because you value connecting with people, you're scared of them not feeling connected to you because they're not you're not who they think you are.
Possibly. And even just on an online space, could be someone across the other side of the world who I'm not going to connect with anyway. But I think, I'm probably not as advanced in the journey as you two are of genuinely not caring. I think there's always an instinct where you'll see something negative, and it'll just, even if you can get over it in a few minutes, like, it just somewhat just hits a little dagger.
It's part of the evolution, but that's why you're on the journey, right? Like, do you not want to feel rocked by those comments? Like, do you want to have enough confidence in yourself that those negative comments don't make you feel a certain way?
I guess that in an ideal world, I don't think if I would ever get to a point where I can just genuinely not care even for a second. I think it's just an instinctive disheartening of going, oh shit. But
I think it's natural.
It gets
right?
It's natural to have that 1 second. Let's say I don't know how long it. I don't know how long it takes me to get over, but it's definitely not long, and I think you have to have a quick positive reframe just to be like to snap you out of maybe that way of thinking. And mine is just like, who gives a fuck? It's like my mates have always said like they love me because I don't care what people think, and like what Egan was saying before, like that's just how they viewed me. And I probably was further along than some people in that aspect, and now I'm just like, well down that track. And yes, something I've learnt is just to say that to myself, like genuinely, who gives a fuck? Yeah, people get caught up in all the small stuff. And
why do you think you're good at that?
Because and I was reflecting on this before earlier, because of people have saying like I've been on this journey for, let's just say it's probably been a year, but in reality, fuck, I reckon it's actually been like 8 to 10 years. I've always loved listening to GaryVee and people of those names, and GaryVee is massive on that. Like, who gives a fuck about those other people? And I think maybe because I've literally been programmed from him from a pretty early age, like that reinforcement. And I think it's just taken a little mindset flip to fully
the action to align with it.
The action to align with what was already in there. And I think that's just what's made me into
It's like the gym, hey. It's like, but for the mind. And I think you need that like action. So my advice is just to genuinely just keep going. You'll be surprised how much
fuck it.
You'll grow.
Fuck it. When this podcast finishes, you're going to dance with me. And I've seen people collabing on TikTok. Can everyone do that?
You can't collab on TikTok, can you?
Yeah, no, you can. Because Simon Squibb's been doing it.
It's probably because he owns TikTok.
Yeah, probably fucking beast. You're doing it. Ronan, I'm sorry. You're doing it with me, my friend.
Yeah.
As cringe as it's going to be.
I'll film it. Great.
Yes. Win.
Sorry to interrupt. This is a post-show edit. The podcast was cut about 20 minutes short as Jack's vulnerability card became a little too emotional and the conversation steered a bit too private to share. But it was still an incredible conversation that I loved being a part of, and just showcased that these conversations are probably not had enough. And I loved hearing and connecting to Jack more and hearing more about his story. So regardless of whether these things are shared publicly, it's just a reminder that they're so important to have. So yeah. That's right. We'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Great chat.
Haven't had a good potty like this for a while where we just talk.
Yeah, I love them, eh?
Like we just talk about all this, especially very like-minded people. So it was bound to be a good conversation.
Loved it. Started with a bit of footy.
Ended
on a deeper level.
Thanks, Ronan. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I would, keen to come on any time. That was great.
For sure.
Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jack.
Very nice. See ya.